Good afternoon. Welcome to Spearfish, South Dakota. Drove in here yesterday and today's been kind of wild. I mean, not that wild in the grand scheme of things, but I feel like I'm not folding yet, but I'm feeling the pressure of uncertainty and decision fatigue. I so I'm here. The objective is to get the motorcycle endorsement on my license. The problem is there's a DMV basically. I mean, it's a public service, I think. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Essentially, a DMV office. The one in Spearfish doesn't open until tomorrow. Wednesday. There's one in 10 miles north of here that opens tomorrow. And there's also one in Rapid City, which is about 45 minutes southeast of here. They also open tomorrow. And I've been struggling to figure out like, where to go and what to do, basically. I have basically two equivalent options. Stay here till tomorrow, go up to the place north of here until tomorrow, or first thing tomorrow, get it done, and then the other option, drive 45 minutes southeast to Rapid City and go to that one tomorrow. But there's more to it, and it's all of the other factors that are just leading to this like overwhelm for me. Part of it is where do I go where I can get the best, make the most of my time, basically. I don't want to waste time. And my morning focus time is very valuable to me. And so I like to work during those hours. But the other thing that I've been thinking about is I drove basically all the way up here to South Dakota from Denver. And one of my objectives after this side quest is to get back into camping in National Forest, which I started to do last week, went very well. But I was like, so basically the west side of South Dakota, there's this like kind of ovally shaped big, I mean, it's massive, probably like 80 miles by 80 miles, like oval. Um, it might be more than that. I'm not actually sure, but they're called the Black Hills. And it's like this national forest, mountainous, forested terrain. Very beautiful. I stopped by here last year when I came up in July 2023. Very beautiful. I'm like, well, if that's my goal, then, and I drove all the way up here, then why don't I just like camp there? Spend a couple days. Like I can live and work basically wherever I want. And so why not just go here, you know? But I'm also weighing the other location, undisclosed location, that I have yet to reveal publicly. I want to go there, and it's probably not even worth explaining all of the factors, but it's like, do I go there? Do I go here? um, there's time is basically closing because of fall and it's getting colder. And and so I'm like, oh, do I drive south? Do I go through? Do I stop in the Black Hills for a couple days on my way back? Do I just drive straight there? And it's like, oh my God. Faced with two basically equal options. And, you know, I feel like most times there's always one option that kind of edges out and it's just better or preferred. But and I think I came to a decision. I think I have a plan. But yeah, I was thinking through this earlier. Some of the I'll share some of the decision strategies, I guess, that I was thinking through. One of them was, what would my 80-year-old self say to me right now? What would he prefer? That's been a really good reframe to like zoom things out on a larger time scale. Um, Nice. Got some fish, and honestly, that didn't really help too much because the immediate term curiosity and desire is kind of overpowering for me. And so anyway, that's one thing that has helped in the past. What was the other one? Thinking about downside risk as well. I can't not think about the what is it, the risk of showing up to a DMV, basically giving them the documents that I believe that I need, and having them say, oh, like you don't have this document, or you got the wrong X, or like, that kind of thing. And so that's another thing that I've been thinking about is, okay, well, for example, let's just say I drive to Rapid City, Southeast. What if they say that I'm missing something and, I need to drive back to Spearfish or go somewhere? Like, what's the downside risk? And I think the the biggest thing that swayed my decision was, what was the original objective? Reminding myself of that, and that this kind of, oh, what if I made better use of my time and camped in the Black Hills in South Dakota before continuing to move on to the next destination. I I was relating it back to, I think it's a red herring fallacy, or I've heard Alex Hormozy talk about like the woman in the red dress who walks by and kind of like distracts you. It feels to me like one of these opportunities that arises because of something else. And I almost want to say, okay, what was the original objective here? And it wasn't that. So just treat it as a distraction. And I think there were two other things. That's one. And I'm forgetting the other one, so I'll just say, one of the other things that I was thinking about is when choosing between two things, if there's no opportunity to know what would happen in the other scenario, basically, like this, you'll just never know. You'll never know the alternative. And I think part of coming to the decision is just accepting that. And I think this was leading or related to the other point that I had thought about, which was accepting that you will never know the alternative and then just picking one. Well, before that, one of the things that helped was, okay, what would I choose if I had a gun to my head, had to choose? Like, what's, just like throw it out on the table. What is that option? Because that starts to sway things. Okay, it's like, okay, now at least we have an option that I prefer. Then your brain can start to think of like, okay, is it worth, or like, is the other one worth the alternative? But then just thinking like, I'll never know the alternative. And so if I pick one, if I go camp in the Black Hills and I get to the next place later, I'll never know what it was like earlier. Or vice versa, if I skip the Black Hills and I've been there before. But for this case, it's like, well, I'll just never know. And I think part of it is coming to terms with that and accepting that just like that is okay. And that we can't have it all, you know? So, try to wrap this up and say, facing decision fatigue, matched with two almost equal options, and thinking forward to what would happen. Because if you were to say, okay, there's nothing else besides going to the DMV that's 10 miles north of here, or going to Rapid City, it's like, well, why don't I just go to the closer one? But where I'm getting tripped up is like the next steps that are happening after that. And so what's helped? Getting a decision out there, thinking through downside risk, thinking through what would my future self prefer in this situation, and then at some point just accepting that you just have to pick one and you will never know the alternative, and just move on with life. So anyway, we're getting there. I'll see you tomorrow.